Hi, I'm Fred Uhe, host of the Backroads and Byways podcast designed to highlight individuals, events, and attractions in the Midwest that make the Midwest special. Brought to you by Jerzes Sports Bar and Papillion, home of the Husker Tailgate, 90 minutes before every Husker game, $1 Bud Light drafts, $1.99 Fairberry hot dogs, and $2.99 sausage and peppers. So appreciate Jerzes for sponsoring us. And today I'm joined by Kirsten Fong, who is one of the, actually I guess Kirsten Vala Fong, and is one of the co-owners of Vala's Pumpkin Patch, one of the leading attractions in the fall. So Kirsten, I appreciate you joining us. I know it's a very busy type of season for you, so thank you for coming in.
Oh my goodness. So thank you so much for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
Good. So, traditionally all my guests, I ask them to kind of talk about themselves a little bit, how you got to be. So, as I mentioned earlier, kind of growing up Vala could be some interesting stories. So,
Yeah.
Why don't you give our viewers a little bit of background about yourself?
Well, my parents started Vala's Pumpkin Patch 41 years ago. So I was a 2-year-old at the time, and I grew up in coming to the pumpkin patch all the time, and my first job was face painting. I did a quarter a cheek and then 50 cents a cheek, and that was my little business within the business when I was a little kid. And then I did the horseback riding, the pony rides. I started pony rides on the farm, and I went to, when I left, I went to college in St. Louis. I went to Washington University in St. Louis, and I wasn't sure if I was going to come back to Vala's Pumpkin Patch. My parents always made it clear that I didn't have to come back. They would really like me to, but they weren't pressuring me at all. They did that for all 3 of us daughters, and I was the oldest, so they kind of were learning with me, I guess. And my dad's way of saying that he really wanted me to come back was to say, Kirsten, I'm planting oak trees on the farm. And that's apparently a huge commitment for someone who knows about trees. Oak trees are not going to be beautiful in a couple of years. They're a long-term commitment. So he's hoping, 20, 30, 40 years later, the farm will still be there. And his way of telling me that he wanted me to come back was just that he was planting lots of oak trees at the time.
Your dad's an amazing man. I consider him a friend, and I've known him for a while, and just a great story. So talk a little bit about your sisters. I know there's the 3 of you, and you all have different responsibilities. So who's in charge of what?
Yeah. Well, luckily we all found our niche within the business because we all ended up coming back. So I'm in charge of the social media and the website, and I actually went to journalism school. I went to NYU for journalism. So I'm in charge of the media, and then I'm also in charge of the food. And so I just oversee our food team, and there's a lot of food at Vala's. So that's my role. And then Kyla is the middle sister, and she does the entertainment. And she also oversees HR, which is very important, and payroll, and keeps the ball rolling there. And then Kelsey, my youngest sister, she went to culinary school, and then she came back and started the Pie Barn for us, which was so amazing. Back in 2014, she started the Pie Barn. And then she started cider. She started the hard cider. So we started growing apple trees, and she was really into, pressing cider and making hard cider. So she's growing that business. It's growing and growing. So,
was she the impetus for the apple? It's interesting because I was doing some research, and you guys are actually the largest apple orchard in the state of Nebraska.
Yeah.
I think most people think of Nebraska City. They don't think of Vala's, but you guys definitely have a great apple operation. I know multiple varieties, and so. Was that Kelsey's idea or your dad's, or how did that come about?
Well, we have 45 acres of apples and about 45,000 trees planted in the trellis system. And really, the apples was something that my parents always wanted to do. My dad took inspiration from Nebraska City, and I have pictures of myself as a toddler, picking apples with my parents, and he was inspired by that experience, as a young man to start Vala's Pumpkin Patch. But apples are such a huge commitment, and they take a long time to grow, and they're a very expensive crop and need some specialty. And so I think that's why he started with other vegetables, and he started with then pumpkins in the fall. But it was always a dream of his to start apples as well. And then one year there was someone who had some expertise who was looking for a job, and it was maybe just a little bit earlier than my parents were thinking they would do it, but they had this opportunity to hire someone who was able to plant them and take care of them, and they did it. They pulled the trigger. We kind of had a family meeting probably around the kitchen table, as we usually did, and we decided, sure, this is the time. It wasn't really, I wasn't part of the business yet formally, and my sisters weren't, but it was kind of my mom and dad's decision to start the apples. And I wish I could remember what year that was. But they planted the apples, and then it was maybe 3 years before you get a crop off of them. So it's a very big financial commitment, because you have the land and you have to order the trees ahead. There's a lead time with the trees that you have to order. And, it's a big operation to start an apple orchard, but they had that dream and they made it happen. And then we knew that was going to extend the season more into September, because at the time we had always opened the very end of September. But when we planted the apples, that was committing to opening the beginning of September, because that's when the apples start to ripen.
Excellent. How many types of cider do you guys have?
Oh, types of cider? Well, sweet cider, it's just like apple juice, but it's pressed cider we have maybe 3 varieties. We have just our regular one that's our blend, and then we have Honey Crisp, and I think there's another apple variety in there. And then hard cider, there's just, oh my gosh, there's probably 20 varieties of hard cider. Yeah. Kelsey, my sister, is in charge of the cider, and she has she went to culinary school, like I said, and so she's the mastermind behind creating all these ciders, and she has a lot of them that are experimental still, or even just fun ones. And she gets barrels, from that have been used in distilling different spirits, and then they impart some of the flavor into the cider. So like gin and bourbon barrels, and there's a whole wall of barrels in the cider mill basement with aging ciders in them, or fermenting ciders that are taking on different flavors. And then there's always ways to add in different fruit flavors, and you can sweeten it or not sweeten it, or you can add some hops to it if you want it to be more beer-like. And that we also are growing some grapes. Actually, in our staff parking lot, there's vines of grapes, and those grapes are being used for to make a cider, to be blended into one of the ciders that tastes somewhat like a rosé wine then. Yeah.
I must say creativity has been one of your guys' hallmarks, that every year something new or different. You guys are always willing to try stuff. So
yeah.
Let's start on the food. Anything new on the food area this year?
Yeah. Our main thing that we're doing in food is we started a new location. It's called the Poutine Porch, and it's right next to Grandma's Kitchen. Grandma's Kitchen used to be the Country Bakery, but it's the big by the Scarecrow Band when you go down the hill. It's one of our first food locations. But next to that is Poutine Porch. And do you know what poutine is, Fred?
I do.
Okay, yeah. I think lots of people do. It's the French fries it has a dark gravy and cheese curds on it. And so there's a couple different varieties of them. Then we do it with pulled pork as well. And then we do a dessert poutine, which is made with cheese, cream cheese, or cheesecake. It has a cheesecake topping, and then some caramel sauce on it. And so,
oh, wow.
And it's funnel cake fries. It's funnel cake fries. Yeah, it's not real fries.
Okay.
For a second, that didn't sound good.
I might be hanging out. No, actually, it sounded good, because okay. I don't think I've ever had a bad meal at Bella's. So
yeah.
that's a great thing. So
yeah.
Is there anything else
And
along the food lines?
and then that same location is going to do floats, which I was excited to add. My kids really love ice cream floats, and it's such a nostalgic thing. I remember my grandpa Ernie. We used to have, root beer floats in his backyard a couple times every summer, and it was a big thing. And so I really wanted to have floats somewhere featured on the farm. We've always kind of had them here and there. Wherever you have ice cream, you can have a float. But this is a place where we're featuring a hard scooped ice cream with, you get to choose your flavor of soda, but root beer is probably the all-time favorite.
Most
yeah,
popular.
or you can do orange soda if you want to make it pumpkin patchy. Yeah.
So,
And then let me see some other food. We have our chef actually created magic shell. When you dip an ice cream into a shell and it's like a hard crust, then it's called magic shell. And I didn't even realize that you could make it homemade. I don't know. I just thought that was something that you got at the store that was probably chemical-y or something. But we have a head chef that this winter he was like, no, I can make that, and he made some different flavors of hard shell. Magic shell that so we upped our quality of soft serve ice cream, and so it's a higher milk fat. It's going to be much more delicious. And then he came up with some like flavor boosters that you put into like a bottle. Like for instance, one is like Reese's Pieces. So he has like a peanut butter syrup type thing that he is in a bottle, and he kind of inserts it around injects the ice cream cone with this flavor, and then he dips it into the magic shell and then sprinkles it with Reese's Pieces on the outside. And it's really, really delicious. We took inspiration from, you have to do research, but there's several different places around the country that do ice cream like this, and we thought it looked really good. So
it sounds fantastic.
Yeah. So we're excited about that. Yeah.
It's one thing.
Yeah.
You've got a kind of a large location and sometimes a lot of walking, but that's good for guys like me that tend to eat too much out there. So I can burn off some of those calories. So
yeah, and the more things we keep adding, you can spend all day. So you can have several meals at Vala's.
Oh, yeah.
That's what
I have.
Yeah.
So anything new at the Pie Barn or?
Oh, we have weekly specials. So this coming weekend is Honeycrisp pie, and then let's see, what are some of the favorites? Oh, everyone looks forward to the s'mores pie as one of our specials. We always try to add a couple different specials every year or bring back old favorites. And I think that this year, it's mostly the old favorites that came back. But yeah, the one that people keep an eye out for is the s'more pie. It's like a ganache on the bottom, and then it has like a homemade marshmallow topping, and then it gets torched, and then you chill it and you slice it, and people just wait for that one. They have to check the pie special menu schedule.
So I know you guys do, particularly I think the farmers market in Gretna, where you have pies available and ciders. Do you do any other farmers markets? Or I guess coming into season, it probably doesn't make any difference because you can get anything you need out there. But so I think you guys are offering products a little bit longer than you used to in the past.
Yeah. We started the farmers market, and last weekend was our last weekend of the farmers market. We started early in the summer, and then decided we didn't want to keep going while we were open because it was too stressful for everyone. we have enough to handle in Vala's itself. And so last weekend was our last weekend. It was really, really fun. We love being part of the community, and the Gretna Farmers Market is a great way to get out there. And, people get excited about our pie and our cider. Our cider, actually, we launched where you can order it online now and get it delivered. So that's one way to get Vala cider year-round. You find it on our website, and you can order it. Yeah.
Okay, new attractions. You guys always seem to add a new ride or new something every year. What's on deck?
I know. This
25?
year is the best. We added so much this year. The main attraction that we added is Aunt Kelsey's swing ride. I don't know if you saw the video. We did a YouTube video last week about it, but it's just beautiful. It's a gorgeous ride. So. Yeah, it looks like a huge tree, and it's sitting up right by like the U-Pick building, like right on the edge of the orchard. And so you go, it like raises you up, and it's one of these attractions that you can do with kids, and parents get to do them together, which is what we're always looking for. Like, we want things that are an experience for the whole family. Like, you don't just send the kids, you send the parents and the kids and the grandparents. Like, my dad wrote it, you know.
So, I'm sure he had fun. So. Yeah. I've seen your dad on a few rides over the years. So.
I know. So you get on these swings and it raises you up, and you go around and around and around, and it's fun for the whole family. And then you get a nice view of the orchard while you're up there in this tree swing, you know, and it's a really fun ride. We're happy for it, and it's named after my sister, Aunt Kelsey. So yeah, we're really excited about that. And then we started, let's see, down the hill, we have Slide Mountain is new. So Slide Mountain's an interesting story because way back when, probably 7 years ago, we had the Pie Barn, and then we had this gorgeous view of like the sunset, you know, from the Pie Barn. And one year there was this huge pile of dirt, like right in the view, and we were all like, who put that pile of dirt there? What's that pile of dirt? And well, it turns out it was supposed to be Slide Mountain, and that was 7 years ago. And every year since then we've been like, where's our slide? Where's the slide for Slide Mountain? And it kept sliding down our to-do list, I guess, for other priorities. But we're happy to have Slide Mountain. You can't have too many slides. We really like slides. This is a fast one.
Kids love them.
Yeah. And adults can do them too. This is a nice big one where it's a tube slide, so you sit in the little tube and you go really fast down the track. So
I'm assuming your dad tried that as well?
I don't think he did.
Okay. We'll have to look forward to that. So we need to get him on that. You can do the video. So
you should, yeah.
So.
We'll get him over there with my camera. And then the last like main thing that we added, not main thing, but a very, very cool thing that we added is a drone show. And so we got 200 little drones, and they go up in the air, and they, along with the music, they make designs in the air. And you've probably maybe you've seen these before.
Yes.
They do them around, but it's kind of taking the place of fireworks in a lot of places. And we're still doing our Friday fireworks in September, but in October we're not doing any fireworks. But we have the drone show, and so it's going to be really cool. Yeah.
The drone show every night, or pretty much every night?
It's every night. Oh my goodness. It's not Mondays and Tuesdays, but it's like Wednesdays through Sundays. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those drone shows are amazing. It's probably better environmentally, you know, no ashes and stuff flying around, and the things you can do on programming of them, and
they are so neat. Yeah.
It sounds like a great addition. So
it's really exciting. Yeah, we have a whole crew of drone pilots. I'm actually a drone pilot, a commercial drone pilot now, and we have a whole crew of people. We went through training and know how to run the drone show, and it's going to be really cool. Yeah.
I think people don't realize the requirements of getting drone licenses and making sure you're just not up there sending things off into the sky.
I had to study and take a test and go to an airport. I feel like I could be almost a pilot. Okay. I shouldn't say that. Well, there's a lot more to being a pilot.
Hey, another skill you can add later.
But they take the airspace very, very seriously, as they should. And so there's a lot of things you have to do to...
a lot of our cities, particularly La Vista being close to the Millard Airport, there's a lot of restrictions on what you can do and not do. And it was interesting because I know minor league baseball used to prohibit drones at, say, like Werner Park, but now they're doing drone shows. But private drones are still barred as restricted airspace, and part of that safety and security. So, but that's awesome. You guys are adding those drone shows. Those are very, very exciting, and I'm looking forward to that. So So it's kind of being empty nesters now. My wife and I can just kind of come out and stroll and eat and be a little bit different. Our daughter from New York actually is coming back in October, so I'm sure there will be a trip to Velas on her itinerary when she comes back. Because the last time she came back, it's like, where I want to go. It's like, okay. So I think I touched on, so many families has been a tradition, 41 years now. That's amazing. So
yeah.
So, again, talking about your creativity, and it's interesting because I think your mom or dad had mentioned once kind of decisions around the dining room table and stuff, so kind of your boardroom, but that is awesome. Anything that you did that didn't work, or is there anything that surprised you, or is there something that you've tried and it's like, no, we're not going to do that again?
Well, food is one of those things where we get very creative and we try things, and then we sometimes decide, oh, we don't need to do that the next year. But it's kind of the freedom to see what sticks. Sometimes you think, well, if you give it a couple years, maybe it'll work. People just need to discover it or something. But there's been a lot of food that we've started and then retired, and then maybe started again and then retired. But yeah.
I think people don't realize that if you come up with an idea or you create something in the kitchen, being able to replicate that hundreds of times, as far as making it something you can actually sell at your location.
Yeah. Well, actually, Pop-Tarts are a prime example because we make homemade Pop-Tarts in our pie barn. And they make them with, our all butter pie crust by hand. And they just take so much time and effort to make. We were like, oh, I don't know if we should make them anymore. But then you hate to make something so good that people are really excited about and then not offer it anymore. And so we had to keep doing them. We had to keep doing that. Actually, poutine is an example. Not of something hard to make, but something that maybe wasn't the best seller. And it was one thing in a stand that had a lot of things. And so last year we didn't offer any poutine, and some people were like, where's the poutine? But this year we're like, well, poutine's good. I mean, we know it's delicious and we get excited about things that are delicious. And so we were like, let's just make it its own location. Like maybe it needs to be on its own, and then it will shine. It'll be the star. So we give ourselves the freedom to experiment and try new things, and we're always going to state fairs. And we took our whole food team to the restaurant show in Chicago this year. We tried 6 different types of boba. Boba tea, popping boba. And then this year we have, boba in our lemonade. You can get our fresh squeezed lemonade with boba pearls in it, strawberry boba pearls. And
nice.
Yeah. And so, we do a lot of experimenting and looking around.
Do you have a test kitchen or something on site, or just, do you have a kitchen dedicated just to experiments, or you just use the regular kitchens during the off season, or?
It's a mix of both. We do have a test kitchen. We're so fortunate since we got the cider mill kitchen. Is temperature controlled, huge building, and it's open all year round. So we can go. Our chef develops recipes in the cider mill kitchen, and we also keep some of the pie production, the frozen pies. We make some pies frozen so that it's all ready for the season, so that we can just pop them in the oven when we're ready for them. So we have pie production keeps going year round up there in the cider mill kitchen, and also our Chef Jeff, he develops recipes up there too. We have all the equipment that we need, and it's right next to Ethan's Smokehouse. So his big passion is barbecue, and so he in the off season he experiments with the smokers over at Ethan's Barbecue. And then he's also in that kitchen space over in the cider mill. But yeah, it's fun.
Is the cider mill open year round? Did you say that?
It's open to us year round.
Okay.
Almost every other building on the farm is not temperature controlled, so it gets cleaned out and locked down in the off season. But the cider mill is where we press our cider in the basement, and in the upstairs we have it temperature controlled, and we have a nice kitchen there where during the season there's a big window and you can see us making pretzels in there. There's a big viewing window and people are usually making pretzels, and there's a apple cider donut machine going in there and things like that. But in the off season we make pies up there, and we also just experiment. Yeah. It's lots of fun.
Interesting. So
We're
sounds
really,
like it's
I think it took our game up a lot when we got a full-time chef. A couple years ago, we hired a full-time chef. It was something that we kind of saw we needed just for quality control and the expertise to like make sure that we were being consistent across the farm. And, with the food, the big thing is overall, Vala's has a seasonal staff of around 1,400 people who work part-time. And there is a very, very, very diverse workforce that we just couldn't make Vala's magic happen without them, because it's, high school students who this is their very first job, and a lot of retired folks, and then everyone in between. There's professionals who just have fun out at Vala's after their regular job, and there's stay-at-home moms who come into work while their kids are in school, and we have all this huge mix of people who come and work for us, but most of them don't have any expertise in like making food, and so you have to like make our food so it's easy enough so that anyone off the street who doesn't even know how to make mac and cheese at home, or you get high school kids who have never made anything. They've like made cereal, You're like, here's a fryer. Let's make poutine. So you have to make sure that everyone is trained and that they know what they're doing, and it's simple enough for them to create a consistent product that's delicious. Yeah.
How you talked about the seasonal staff. How big approximately is your staff year round?
We have about 50 year-round staff members. Yeah. We call them our core staff, like an Apple core. That's our Vala's lingo.
Which I think some of them are on the farm side are agricultural specialists, and you mentioned Chef Jeff. So, year-round, does Jeff have support staff to help him, or is it?
Yeah. We have, in food, we have our director of food operations who kind of runs the whole show. And then we have Chef Jeff, and we just hired someone who's very, very good at the mechanical, food equipment specialist, which we have so much equipment on the farm. We eventually were like, we need someone to keep maintaining our equipment because it's such a huge investment. And our equipment gets used like 2 months of the year very, very hard. And then the rest of the year, it sits idle. So you have some degree of what our mechanic calls shop rot, where like it's just like sitting and it doesn't like to sit. But we use our equipment very hard. So it's nice we have a full-time staff member now who can help us maintain the equipment. And then we also have a food warehouse manager who works year-round too, because we have a huge food warehouse, just keeping the inventory of this and that coming in and out, and storing it all, and it's a big operation, the food, yeah.
You had mentioned Pop-Tarts. Have you ever thought about doing the Pop-Tarts with ice cream? Have you ever seen that?
Oh, no.
I can't remember where I was at for a testing or a tasting, but basically it was like an ice cream sandwich, only the crust or whatever, it was a Pop-Tart cut in half with ice cream put in the middle and put back together.
Oh, my gosh.
And then frozen, and I think they just quickly warmed the Pop-Tart itself, but without melting the ice cream. And
ooh,
interesting.
That sounds so good. Yeah, thanks, Fred.
Put that on your list.
I'm going to try that now.
It actually was really good. I think there were some logistic issues, but that was a challenge for Chef Jeff there.
My gosh,
saying, have you ever thought about that? It's a little bit different. And,
yeah.
Actually, I think it might have been a tasting for minor league baseball or something like that, one of the concessionaires. But
wow.
So you can get very creative. So
yeah,
which you guys do. So I know you guys add stuff every year. And it's. Well, I know when I first got into the tourism business, actually John Ricks, director of tourism for the state of Nebraska, said it was like going to Disneyland in Nebraska. So, I guess you guys are Nebraska's Disneyland, which
Oh, that's
I'm
so
sure
nice.
there's copyright issues on that, so I won't ever use that. But actually, Grant this morning, our producer, mentioned that as well. He goes, "It's like Disneyland out there." So
That is so nice. We love Disney, so
because you guys usually go down there every fall, don't you? After
Yeah.
the seasons.
there's a big conference, an amusement park conference, the biggest in the world. It's an international amusement park convention. Is IAPA is what it's called, and it's in November every year, which is very convenient for us because it's right after our busy season. So we always take a couple staff members and go down to Disney. Or go down to Orlando, and then while you're there, you go to Disney.
Of course.
World, so.
That's like a requirement. So.
Yeah.
So I think I mentioned this to you previously, but where do you think Vala's will be in 10 years? I know, you've got kind of urbanization coming around. You guys are part of the city of Gretna, city limits now, so probably as far as your footprint, actual land, it'd be tough to expand or whatever, but so what do you think are some of the challenges to keep this family attraction going strong?
Oh, well, we have a 10 and we have a plan mapped out to 2050, I guess, is the
great.
year. I was trying to think how many years is that. But we work with, leadership coach here in town. And, it was much simpler when it was just my mom and dad as the owners. They could just make decisions on the fly and do whatever they wanted, kind of stay in their lanes too. Like my dad was always the creative, visionary one who was expanding, and my mom was kind of like the HR person and the behind the scenes one. So the two of them were really good at working together. But now we have the three of us sisters, and my brother-in-law as well are all the owners and managers of Vala's Pumpkin Patch, and so we need to make decisions together, and it's a little tougher than it was for my mom and dad over the kitchen table. So that's a long way of saying we go to a leadership coach, and we have a board of directors, and we have regular meetings where we talk about our future and the health of our business and make strategic decisions. And so we have a plan mapped out, and it's going to change. It always year to year changes, but at least we have a goal in the future, and we plan on being around for a long time. And hopefully, we have been working on our succession planning, which is something where some of these family businesses run into a lot of problems because it's very complicated when you think about passing. You got it passed on from your parents, but then how do you pass it on to your children, and what does that look like? And so we're doing long-term planning to make sure that hopefully Vala's is around for a long time. We need to do justice to those oak trees that are growing. So,
Definitely.
And that might even look, we haven't made any concrete decisions, but it might even be expanding our season, into different seasons. My parents and us we still are very devoted to the fall season, and that's our specialty, and that's our bread and butter, and that's what we really want to focus on. But in the future, we might want to do, and especially when you get down to the next generation, they might want to do something in the summer or the spring or expand to different seasons. It's kind of it's not anything definite, but it's something that we could do in the future. And we definitely have enough expansion planned for the next 5 or 10 years just in the land we have. And we have a lot of parking. So I think we're not too concerned that we're going to stop growing, but we definitely want to keep adding every year. That's one of our core values, is to keep growing. All of our core values are agricultural lingo, but keep growing is one of our core values as a business. And so every year we're trying to add exciting things and refresh old things and keep it exciting. And that's the fun part of the business, actually. Like if you were just going to run the business year after year and it's just the same thing over and over, it would get boring kind of fast. I think that the discovering new things and adding on and refreshing and being creative, like that's the fun part of this business.
Well, I think that's part of the joy of going out there, where you are going to experience new things and see something new. And I know I went through the phase where, you drop the kids off because it's not cool to have mom and dad wandering the grounds.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, but kind of got out of that, and so now I guess I'm welcome back.
Oh my gosh!
But you think about it. I mean, it is a family tradition. I remember a few years back, a friend of mine from Overland Park, Kansas, had posted on social media, "What's a good pumpkin patch?" And I put Velas, and she's like, "Yeah, right." Well, then later that fall, she sent me a note. It's like, "Oh my God," because they had actually come up for a Husker football game, and then drove up to Velas. And so she's telling all of her friends down the Kansas City area about this amazing place. And, I think of some of the families I know that, it's multiple generations, grandma, grandpa, parents, grandkids, it becomes a family tradition.
Yeah. We're so proud about that. Yeah, it's really neat to see multiple generations and, people bringing their kids and even their grandkids, and they're making memories year after year, traditions. All traditions.
It's something I'm sure you probably, with the leadership coaching and stuff, you look at the culture of Velas, and that's, I think, something that your mother had kind of explained to me years ago, that, the Midwest is short of workers, and yet you are able to handle 1,400 seasonal workers. And I know several people that do every year come back. There's some of them retirees, but just like, because they're part of the Velas family. So I think that culture is just amazing.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You mentioned your mom doing HR, and I know she really never thought that anyone should be fired, I believe.
That's true. That's true.
Maybe it was your guys' fault for having them in the wrong place. Let's find a good fit for them. So
that's exactly it.
I mean, that type of culture is hard to replicate and develop, but you guys certainly have, and I think that's part of the Velas magic. So,
thank you. Yeah.
I'll tell you a story about your mom. When I took over tourism, I found out that we were co-hosting the state travel conference at the Embassy Suites in La Vista 2 weeks out, and I was supposed to plan a dinner for about 250 of my new friends.
Oh my gosh.
So I called your mother. I said, I need help, and set us up with one of the areas. We bussed people out there, had barbecue, pulled pork sandwiches. Basically took care of everything.
Yes.
And so I survived that. And actually, that's very funny, because then the next day at the conference, in one of the sessions, John Ricks is like, I went to heaven last night. He says, you give me a turkey leg and a funnel cake, I could just stay there forever. So,
oh my gosh.
And that also the same presentation, we coined the Disneyland, Nebraska's Disneyland. So,
so nice.
So many people have those favorite foods, and funnel cakes, turkey legs. I'm kind of a pie guy. Looking forward to trying the poutine this year. So, do you have a favorite food?
Yes, I like the pie. Pie is my favorite. I like the apple pie. The salted caramel apple pie is our #1 bestseller, and for a reason, because it's so delicious. We really took care into picking our mix of apples that we put into it, and we have the all butter pie crust. And every time I don't eat it too much because it's not great for your health. But every time I eat it, I'm like, wow, apple pie is so good. I forgot since the last time I ate it. How good it is.
It is amazing. I will vouch for that. I have to admit, I've had more than my share of pieces out there over the years. So, but
yeah.
So now you'll be opening up Labor Day weekend. So any other festivals? I think you have some things planned along some of the apples and.
We have 2 main festivals this year. We have the Apple and Cider Festival, which is all of September, August and September. And then we have our Pumpkin Harvest Festival, which is all of October and into November. We're open the first weekend in November this year. And within that, we have, in September, we have a Bluegrass and Barbecue Weekend this year, which is always a favorite of mine. I love hearing the bluegrass bands. Kyla, my sister, lines up the bluegrass bands, and they're right next to Ethan's Barbecue, which is named after my son, Ethan.
Okay.
And we have some, barbecue specials going on, but also we just have our homemade, smoked barbecue that Chef Jeff has spent all year getting excited about and tweaking recipes. And so we're really proud of our barbecue. And then we also have, what do we have? We have Witches Night Out. It's the first Friday in October. And that's over in the Barrel Barn, and it features some of our barrel-aged ciders, and especially like Witch's Brew and the Spellbound
nice.
Series of hard ciders. And I always tell my friends and everyone, put that witch's hat in your Amazon cart now, because you want that for that weekend. Like, people come out and they dress like witches. It's a fun one for, I have my girlfriends come out and I meet them, and all of our friends were like, bring your witch's hat and come on out. And maybe it's more fun for the Vala sisters than anyone else, but we have fun. And then the last weekend that we're open, we have a Pumpkin Destruction Day, which last year was our first time doing a Pumpkin Destruction Day. And it's funny because lots of farms across the country do pumpkin destruction, but I had never been to one. It's in November, so we don't need the pumpkins anymore. We have all these leftover pumpkins in the field, and what do you do? And lots of farms do pumpkin destruction, so we were like, we'll do pumpkin destruction. And my sister Kyla is in charge of entertainment, so last year she was like, maybe I'll try to get an elephant to come step on all the pumpkins. But we didn't. Apparently, it was harder to get a hold of an elephant.
Okay,
than
I was wondering if that's a big announcement here, but I guess not.
No, don't come for the elephant. But there's other fun things. It's actually really fun to destroy pumpkins. So that weekend it was surprising to me. It was so much more fun than I even anticipated it would be. And so I would suggest it to anyone, especially season pass holders. We sell so many season passes because people know that the best way to experience Vala's is to come multiple times. There's the apple season, and there's the pumpkin season, and there's all these special events and lots of different food specials to look forward to during the season. So it's people come multiple times, and the last time to come is that Pumpkin Destruction Day, which is so much fun. We had hay racks set up, and kids would like grab a pumpkin from a pile and go, and then you throw it, and then it cracks open, and it's very dramatic because it has the seeds and the guts of the pumpkin, and then we had spikes where you throw it and you try to like hit the target, and it like sticks to it, and so I don't know, it's very fun.
What days is that?
That's the last Saturday that we're open, which is in November.
Okay.
I believe it's in November 1st. I think it's November 1st.
So,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I never really thought about what to do with the leftover pumpkins.
Well, that's one big question people ask all the time, but we disc them under. There's they just nourish the soil for the next year. It's like fertilizer. So usually like all the pumpkins out there in the field that are left over, they just get disked under. And so that's what we do. But this last little hurrah, we get to have fun with our pumpkins before they get disked under. Disking them under is destroying them with a tractor. Yeah.
That sounds like fun.
The farmer gets all the fun then.
You could take some of your stress out. So, what do you allow them to throw it? Do people take sledgehammers or anything to them, or have you added that part yet? Or
I think, probably the safety of it is like an issue. Oh, we did take it up into a high lift. We took a couple large pumpkins up into a high lift and then dropped them. And then they like fell down and like dramatically, break on the ground in front of people. So we did that last year, like on the hour. It was like, come watch the pumpkin being dropped, and I think Kyla is still working on some ideas for it. So keep an eye out on our social media if anything pans out. I'm not going to promise, elephants, but
yet.
But if anyone knows where to get an elephant, just let me know. I don't know, but she's working on some creative ideas for that too, to make it bigger and better than last year even. So yeah.
Now you do some similar things with apples too, right? Because you have that apple shooting range or whatever. So
yeah, exactly. That is fun. They're the apple cannons. And so you buy a bucket of apples, and then you go up to the cannon and you put them into the shooter, and it goes poof, and it's very dramatic. And you aim for, there's some cowbells out there. Like if you're around some people, if there's good people shooting, you'll hear like bing, 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 because they're at the cowbell.
It was interesting. I don't remember how well they did, but a few years back, Congressman Bacon had a delegation from Lithuania, and one of them was a Lithuanian general. Well, the congressman was a retired general, and the Lithuanian general ended up going to apple cannons and had a little contest. So seeing these
oh my gosh,
two generals battling over the apple.
And cool.
I don't remember who won, but
wow.
I know one of the representatives from the Lithuania's embassy was like, "Oh, we have nothing like this in the other country."
Oh my gosh,
and,
that is really cool.
I think that was probably the furthest guest I've ever brought to Vala's was the folks from Lithuania. So, but
wow,
they had a good time. So,
neat.
Oh, we're about running out of time. So is there anything else you want to add or anything about Vala's or in closing?
Oh, we're just really excited to start this fall season. We hope it's better than ever and can't wait to see all the guests having fun. That's what makes our whole year worth it. We wait all year and we don't hardly see anyone. And then we have our staff orientation and hiring. Just does feel like a big family reunion. Like you said, we have this culture where our staff feels like family. We're a small family business and we might have 1,500 staff members, but we try to learn as many names as we can, and we try to make sure everyone feels like they're part of the Vala family or the Vala's family, the farm family we call it, or the orange. Some people say the orange family, but then we've done that, and that's a fun thing for the year. But really, opening day this Saturday is our official opening day. This Friday is our season pass holder day. But it's just really so much fun for us. It makes all the work we've done all year is really worth it when we see people having fun out at the farm.
Well, I hope you have a successful season. I know this is a busy time of year, so appreciate you taking the time to come in and join us. And
it's such a pleasure.
I've learned a lot about Vala, so we'll have to make this an annual thing or something.
Yeah,
so we
for
can
sure.
Do that on everything. So.
Sure, I'd love to. Yeah.
So, okay. Well, thank you. And again, I'm Fred Uhe with the Backroads and Byways podcast. Appreciate you tuning in. Sponsored by Jerzes Sports Bar and Papillion. And again, thank you for listening.